What's up YouTube, Len Last Disbelief here, and I understand I haven't posted an actual true review in quite a while. I have been extremely busy. I do try and post YouTube shorts now and then, but as you can tell, the review that I'm going to be showing you today will be for the most recent Gundam kit in my collection, actually one that's been recently released, period. The high-grade Mighty Strike Freedom. Honestly, this thing is just, for my second model kit, my second Gundam build that hasn't had any polycaps, it has been phenomenal. I did build the Aerial rebuild. The Aerial Gundam just never truly, caught my attention as a good mobile suit. This guy, I had the original Freedom, and as well as the Strike Freedom, and I figured, you know what, why not pick this guy up? Bought him off of eBay, as well as an action base, which, when I get around to reviewing the Master Grade Barbatos, which y'all will get, that action base will be in there. But for now, let's take a look at just the mobile suit itself, after we get around to the accessories. So, let's go ahead and do that. So, we actually get quite a few accessories in this. I don't know if I've got them all in frame. I do apologize if I don't. But we get the Proud Defender backpack, the Futsunomi Tama sword, a beam shield, 2 sets of hands, an alternate V-fin, 2 beam rifles, and 2 beam sabers, as well as one combined one. I've misplaced mine. I don't know where it went, but when I find it, I will post a short on it and not worry about making a whole new video. It's not that super important. It's just a combined handle of the beam sabers. So, we'll go through each of these one by one, starting with the hands. So, as you see, we've got 2 open hands as well as 2 closed fists for weapons. It's a simple switch out method. You just pull one off, go ahead and have them lay down there, plug the other one in, and there you go. Next up, we have his beam sabers. I don't know how well it'll come into focus on camera. Clearly not very well at all. I do apologize. But anyways, just a simple beam saber. The end does come off. Just stick it right in the hand. Actually, these store in the hands really well, and he can hit some fabulous poses with it. And you can have him dual wielding. So let's throw him into a pose with the reverse grip. And there you go. They work really well. And when they're not in use, you just take them, move the beam, and they just store. There's a little notch on the beam saber, and I'm doing my best to get it in frame, to get my camera to focus it. That's not going to, which is weird, but they'll just slide. The notch will go into the notch on the side of the railgun, and they stay decently well, not super duper well, I've noticed. Mine are just kind of, you tap them slightly and they just die, but they do the job. Next up, we'll go ahead and cover the beam rifles. You get 2. In normal Freedom fashion. They do fold up, the handle pops out, and unlike the high-grade Strike Freedoms, you cannot just slot it into the hand. And I do like that. I do. What you have to do is you have to do the sandwich method, which is take the hand off, back of the hand off, slide the hand onto the beam rifle, put the other hand on, but what it does is there's some extra parts, or extra plastic that sticks out on it as part of the design that keeps this handle from moving. It is like, wiggles just a little bit, but otherwise, you'll have no problems with it. So we'll go ahead and do the other one. But it keeps these really locked in, especially when I'm going to do poses with them combined, which we'll get to here in just a moment. Unlike with my high grade Strike Freedom, which I had to get a rebuild of, here's a quick little pose with it. The rifles on my high grade Strike Freedom just suck, absolutely. They just are horrible. So, these ones are really good. And as I mentioned before, they do combine. So let's go ahead and remove both beam rifles from the hand. Set you off to the side. You're going to want to extend the stock on this one. And then first remove the hand, because you're going to have to put the handle down, pull out the barrel on this one, and then take the stock, the butt of this gun, and fold it to the side. And they just combine, and this is what I mean by it's really sturdy. Like, the hand is, it could be a little tighter, but otherwise, the guns don't flop. You can get some really nice poses with him, like this. So, and there was a little bit of redesign when doing this. I do like that. I don't like that it's got so many stickers. Everything blue on here is a sticker, and then the red on the end of each barrel is a sticker. I don't like that. I'm probably going to go back and paint it, but for now, let's go ahead and get to storage. You have two options for storage. When in combined mode, you can just take them. There's a little tab on each side of the beam rifles and a tab on the back of his butt flap that you can plug it into. I do like that they offer that now. Or you can remove the beam rifles and they plug onto the side of the railgun. There's a tab there, tab on each gun. And I love that they do this. I hated that the Strike Freedom could never use the railguns while the guns were tabbed on there. But now he can. Other than the fact that when you have his arms down to his side, it's just like, you know, the fact that he doesn't have hands. Literally, like, that makes his, like, sides really bulky. But still really awesome. So, moving on. Next we have his beam shield. And my camera just does not pick this up very well. And it may be the lighting I'm in, but this thing is awesome. Unlike the Strike Freedom's beam shield, which I do have right here, being just a clear piece of transparent plastic, this one is like semi-transparent with a cool, like, glittery gloss almost, and it catches light perfectly. But to attach this, you're going to want to take the red piece off of one of the sides of the arms. There's a little slot for that to go onto here, and it will just slot into the forearm. And we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of posability out of the way. The wrists do move. The wrist guards, whatever you want to call them, they do move. So you can have some really nice blocking poses. Either with, you know, a beam saber, which I'll go ahead and showcase now. Just to, you know, give you a good idea of how to look. It just catches the light perfectly, and I love it. There is no storage for this, though, when it's not being used. That's why I have a giant box just of random effect parts. I do recommend that for anyone that does build this, is have a box or a bag or something for all your effect parts, because they get used heavily. Now, I didn't quite cover this in the accessories, because it shows you to build it on the mobile suit in the instructions, but this is the backpack adapter for the Proud Defender. It'll just slot right in there, but it does have the 2-peg system. And I wish I had the Mighty Strike, or the high-grade Strike Freedom with me, and I would show you the Strike Freedom Type 2. But I will upload a YouTube short sometime later showcasing that. so it is high-grade backpack compatible. We'll go ahead and get to the next accessory, more so the backpack, the Proud Defender. Let's go ahead and get the Strike Freedom out of the way here, so I can showcase this. The build of this was complex, while at the same time pretty simple. There's a good amount of gold everywhere, and the color separation is really decent. Now, on the box, if I can, and it may be on the instructions, it does say that the Proud Defender was more so for use with the Rising Freedom. So it does have that Rising Freedom style wing setup. It works really well on the Strike Freedom. It does. But, as for moving parts, you get a swivel here, and then you get an additional swivel, which in all the reviews I've watched for this, nobody ever covered this for where the sword goes. I'll try and showcase that. It does move really well, so if you want to have a pose where it's just, you know, like this, you can do that without, you know, having to do a whole lot. So, there's that option. It does have a flappy motion, and then each wing has its own individual joint, and then this part of the wing has its own movable joint, which is a locking is like a snapping mechanism. Which is just really satisfying to move. And then each of these wings has a sliding portion to reveal the pink part of the Proud Defender backpack, which those are stickers, and those were horrendous to do, but they look awesome. As well as the rear of this piece. And to get it attached to said Mighty Strike Freedom, as I said, you'll just take it and that backpack adapter and just, it slides just right on top of it. And hoo boy, does that make this guy a little bit back heavy. But you do not need an action base to get him to stand on the ground. Now just throw these wings up in their pose. It pulls it off really well and can stand. Here at the end of the video, after I go through articulation, I will show him in a pose with those extended. I'm just not going to do that right now because that's quite a bit of hassle. And finally, for your final accessory, you have the Futsu no Mitama sword, which is two finishes to it. And I doubted that it was going to look nice. I did. I figured, you know what, I'll just paint this blade part right here silver, call it a day. I don't need to do that. I actually sincerely enjoy this. The dull end of it, or what's supposed to be like the flat part of the blade, has like this dull, almost matte finish to it, while the blade itself has a nice, sharp finish. And to get it into the hand, it's just, again, simple, slot it in, and it looks phenomenal. Like, there's no pose that you cannot do with this guy. Oh, I missed an accessory, but it's not one that I'm going to really be using ever, so we're going to go ahead and have to remove the head here. You do get the recreated V-fin for the Disruptor. The red parts are stickers. And I know my camera does not want to pick it up right now, and I don't understand why. It's really blurry, and this has never happened to me before. Nope, that's not helping at all. So, anyways, essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the original V-fin off, and I do stress to be extremely, extremely careful, as the V-fin is always the most fragile part of a Gundam model kit. I'm using part of the Destiny sword to just kind of get it in there and push it out. And you'll just slot that in, and it does look nice. Not really noticeable enough for me to enjoy it on a shelf, so it really mainly stays in a box. So, that's what his accessories were. Let's move on to articulation. Alrighty, so for this, we'll be doing this without the backpack, just because it makes it easier to showcase everything, but the head has your normal, well, not your normal down. It's got a good, impressive amount of down, as well as a decent amount of up. Not really a whole lot due to that collar joint. You can get a full 360 out of it, as well as your forward, backwards, giggity. For the arms, just kind of like with the Destiny, you do have this like real cool like pull-out piece that's in the shoulder that when you pull it out, allows him to reach all the way across his body, so he can do stuff, you know, pose like this. You get a ridiculous, not a whole good amount of up, unless you really utilize this shoulder joint. You can kind of cheat it, not a whole lot, but the Strike Freedom never did a whole lot of up. The shoulder pad is individual from the arm. I do like that. So you can move it individually. You did get full 360. Bicep swivel. Complete elbow bend, as expected with any high grade anymore at this point. You do get a really cool joint. I do love this joint right here. Being able to do stuff like this is ridiculous. You can have sword-wielding wrists that actually look like they're sword-wielding wrists. You know, you get some extra movement for the shield if you just prefer that back there even, and not out front. Now, this is what probably was the most impressive thing on this kit. His ab crunch. This ab crunch is just ridiculous. And, just for show, you can attach the backpack to it, lay him down, and he still holds his pose. Like only when you really get violently shaking him up and down does he lose it. As well as some side to side with it, which is awesome. For the legs, you do get kind of decent amount of forward, very little backwards because the butt flap doesn't move. I love the railguns, the fact that they redid this design. You get a good amount of outwards until you utilize the new joint they put in, which is similar to the Master Grade Freedom. I hope it doesn't have the same problem, but it's a drop down mechanism, and I might be able to showcase that a little bit. Yeah. It drops down to allow him to recreate, you know, the classic Freedom one leg in front of the other pose, which I've never actually really been able to achieve very well. Oh, never mind. But when doing that, you can get even more out. Just remember that that changes the angle of the pose. You can move these. These are on ball joints here. They go about out that far, but in doing some nice poses, provided you don't, you know, pop it off the ball joint. You can get some really nice poses out of it, but you do get a thigh swivel all the way around, maximum knee bend, and I mean this is ridiculous. Okay. And to make this a little easier, I will showcase all the ankle movement. This is just on a ball joint right here, the shoulder, the not shoulder, the ankle guard, but you do get a pretty nice ankle pivot, and I mean nice, as well as a good amount of forward, as well as a good amount of back, side to side. You get that much up, that much down, toe bend, kind of a bit of a toe up. So otherwise, really awesome. Now to go through some, you know, the onboard gimmicks. And there aren't a whole lot. You know, mainly just stuff that they put on there, because you do get that cannon still, which is nice. I do prefer this this time. I do prefer this one more than the high grade Strike Freedoms. You do get a couple of thrusters on the back that move up and down ever so slightly that you can remove this part too to get to that a little easier if you're, you know, painting it or anything while you've already assembled it. Because I don't know how well this guy disassembles. And then, of course, you have his railguns, which we'll go ahead and take this off. Let's just open up like this. Really nice. And when you have one of the beam sabers stored in there, it does open up just nicely. So you don't even have to worry about it, which is awesome. Now, yeah, I think that's just about it. Here he is in a quick test pose, if I can get him to stand. And he does really well in that test pose. Moving on. Just a quick tip when activating the Pride Defender wings. I always find it easiest to pull out this top first and then move over here to the bottom and pull it out. This one just slides out. If you don't, I have heard you can ruin the stickers that way. I have a friend that I know someone that's bought this kid who actually lives kind of close to me. But he kept trying to pull like right in the middle and just snapped it real easily. Kinda on him for not being careful. That's kind of a no-duh. But just, you know, passing along the warning. Just figured, you know, better safe than sorry. But anyways, here he is in another test pose, and just kind of rounding out any final thoughts I have on this. I love this guy. He is a awesome build. He looks great on your shelf, especially next to your original Strike Freedom, you know. He's just a joy to have. I can just pick him up off my shelf, pose him, mess with him. He's just awesome. And not having polycaps, I really don't have to worry as much about him becoming loose. So, I highly recommend this kit. This is a great kit. It gives you everything you could want with a Strike Freedom. You get the guns, you get the rail guns, even cool backpack and swords. Here's this pose that I recreated from the movie. I know it's kind of crap, but I did my best, and it turned out really well. But, like I said, I recommend it. It's a fun build, gives you some really cool accessories, and overall, it's just an improvement against the old high-grade Strike Freedom. So, those are my thoughts. This is Last Disbelief. And I know everybody else asks you to do these at the end of their videos, but I'm going to say it anyways. Like, subscribe, and if you haven't already, please watch my other videos. It always helps. Bye!